So when you start with Parkinson's disease and you first see a neurologist, and if you're diagnosed very early in the disease, your balance should be relatively normal. There's what is called, and those of you who have the disease, you've had it done, you have a pull test, and if early on in the disease, you don't move very much when a physician pulls you from behind. As the disease progresses, your posture gets worse. There's a scale, the Hone and Yahr scale, and when you classify 3, you have a level of postural instability. It makes you more vulnerable to falling. And so this becomes person dependent. If you are prone to falling, then everything needs to be done in a much more supervised way. If you have osteoporosis, the consequence of falling is worse. If you really are a high risk for falling, there are places, for example, in Chicago, where you can do gait training and you have a harness. And there's something called partial body weight support training, where in fact the harness actually takes up a little bit of your weight. And so you can't fall. And so what a person who's just been diagnosed, who is 40, should be doing, as opposed to somebody who's Hone and Yahr stage 3, who's female, I mentioned that because osteoporosis tends to be more prevalent in their 70s and 80s. But I think it is very important people realize that one can be overprotective. And a lot of people do too little. And yes, we've done studies. We've had a site in Colorado. We got people out in the study Dr. Bloom referred to. They went up into the mountains. They did more exercise, and they fell occasionally. And so this is a very, very fine line we walk. And so I think you have to know yourself. You have to know what levels of support and activities. You know, if you've had a fall, you need to really ask yourself why you fell. As an aside, 50% of the people on this call who have the disease will have orthostatic hypotension. So just going from sitting to standing can lead to a little bit of dizziness. So I think one has to be careful, but one can be too careful, I think, is my point. Because if you don't do activity, the consequences are also not good.